What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Wave 21 figures. So in this wave, we've got the Fleischer Superman from the old Fleischer cartoons in the 1940s. So it looks really cool with that nice classic design for Superman. Then we've got Dark Flash, so an alternate version of Wally West or Walter West. Then we've got Tempest, which is really cool. So Aqualad or Garth, as he's also known. So awesome to have him to go with our Teen Titans. And finally, we have Nightmaster, which is one of the new McFarlane Red Platinum editions. So you can see that logo down there. I'm not exactly sure what that means, like if it's exclusive or just a platinum of some sort, but nice to have that Nightmaster as well. Another character to add to the shadow pack there. So really cool wave overall for these four figures, and I'm excited to check them out. So let me get them open out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. So we're going to start off with the Fleischer Superman, which was a Superman animated cartoon based off the comic books. It consisted of 17 animated shorts created by Max and Dave Fleischer of Fleischer Studios beginning in 1941 and were released in Technicolor by Paramount Pictures. And aside from being the first animated Superman cartoon, this was the famous cartoon that began with the opening lines of faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, and able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, which of course is a famous quote related to Superman. So pretty cool to have that. Otherwise, just looks like Superman, and again in an old style. So get the darker blue outfit, very simple basic S on his chest. It's not too crazily different from like the first appearance of Superman, which took place in 1938, so it's just a couple of years later. So that's what this would be based off, but of course it will look different. I'll show you that figure we have. But he just has the mostly all red underwear with a red belt with just a yellow buckle on him, and again red boots on his feet and a red cape, which is nice. We do get a wired cape at least on the edges of it, so we get a nice fabric cape with the wires there, so it'll sit all nice. And then we get his face, which is again kind of weird. They just has like the eye markings, no like actual eyes, so just the lines there, of course probably based off the cartoon. But then I love his hair coming up with the nice big curl there on top of it, very nice and classic for Superman. So overall has that nice classic look to him that I really like. Overall I think it looks pretty good. Like I said, probably not my favorite version of Superman, but it does overall look really decent. But moon-wise, we just had that all twist all the way around. You can look down that far and up that far. It's not too bad. I wish, again, still look up more, but we get what we get there. Shoulders will come up to 90 with the butterfly and rotate around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint. That bends pretty much all the way up on itself there, so really nice for that. Wrist will twist around and then flex on that ball joint. You can see the split there, so that's where it'll flex. Then we get the ab crunch, so upper ab crunch back and forth and twist around. And then at the waist, you should be able to crunch. Not very much for him, but he'll twist all the way around there as well. Then we get the hips that'll come up to 90 and out to the side to do the splits there. A little bit of a thigh twist, not much, but there's a double knee joint that will bend up, of course real stiff as usual, but bend up there and almost kick himself in the butt, not far off from that at all. And then down to the foot will rock back and forth and twist side to side with the toe joint on the end. So pretty decent movements, the standard McFarlane, so nothing out of the ordinary, anything there, but he's got pretty good range with all that. Of course his underwear is now messed up with the leg there, so everything works out pretty decent. Can't really get too much better with the way they have their joints, so overall pretty decent for that. Now accessory wise, he does come with a pair of hands, so again if you want to have him flying or anything, he has a pair of open hands we could have for flying. They've been including hands like these with a lot of characters recently. We get the base that will put him on. Of course no major issues standing him or anything, but there we got Superman sort of posed up there, so that's really cool. And of course we get his cards. There's a picture of him from the Fleischer cartoons, again from classic animations of the 1940, and on the back we get a little bit of story about the Fleischer animation, which says Superman in Technicolor, up in the sky, look, it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman, faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. This amazing stranger from planet Krypton, the Man of Steel, Superman, empowered with X-ray vision, possessing remarkable physical strength, Superman fights a never-ending battle for truth and justice. So very nice for that overall, just more explanation there. And as I mentioned, not far off from the first appearance of Superman, so we do have that figure of the first appearance. Of course, looks so much different and pretty crazy with that design, but still nice to see the transition for just a couple of years from this version of Superman in his first appearance to the Fleischer cartoon version, which I think overall does look better, especially between the two of those. So really nice to add this version of Superman to the collection. And next up we have Dark Flash, who is Walter West. Now he's an alternate timeline version of Wally West, and he had a similar life up until the death of Linda Park by Cobra. This drove him mad with grief, causing him to be brutal to criminals, crippling many of them, but he would eventually travel to normal Wally's timeline to take his place. So of course he has the Speed Force, as all the speedsters do, so he has superhuman strength, durability, stamina, reflexes, and speed, as well as molecular acceleration for phasing and intangibility, regeneration, regeneration and dimensional travel. So it looks pretty cool with this version. So we just have a Flash figure here, just in this all dark red, like dark maroon color red. Now the base body of it's kind of what I always call like the Booster Gold Blue Beetle body. You can always tell by the leg designs on there. So it's not using the same Flash bodies we've had before, but it just looks cool, like I said, with the dark red color and the silver added to it. So we get the nice silver lightning bolt down his chest, silver lightning bolts or whatever they're supposed to be there on his ears, around his wrist, a little like belt design on his pants, and a little bit there at the top of the boot designs as well. So overall, I do like that color combination of the dark red maroon with the silver as well. It just stands out quite a bit. But body wise, otherwise, you know, it's the basic body we've had before, just all sleek like spandex body till you get to the boots where it has like that little cuff at the top. And then of course we have the different head design with like the earpieces that look down lower, at least a more seamline version, or, you know, sleek version there. And love how the mask comes down to like cover up his nose much more. It's kind of neat with that design. But otherwise, you know, it just looks like a different colored version of Flash. But moon-wise, the head will twist all the way around there. It can look down that far and up that far. So not a whole lot of range, unfortunately. I don't know if there's something different with the neck that doesn't get more range. Shoulders will come up to 90 with the butterfly and rotate around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends up that far on it. Wrist twist around and flex back and forth. Then we get the upper ab crunch, so crunch back and forth and twist. And then at the waist, crunch and twist. Then we get the hips that'll come up to 90 and out to the side to do the splits there. Very little of to no thigh twist. Double knee joint back that far. And then down to the foot will rock back and forth, twist side to side, and has the toe joint on the end. So again, pretty standard movements, especially for like this sort of body. I feel it should have some better range in certain places, but overall it's not bad at all for him. But accessory-wise, he does come with some lightning effects that we can put onto his legs. So kind of like these are a little bit different than what we normally see, at least that I remember. They're a little bit thicker and more substantial to him, and we just get to them so we don't have to worry about the legs and arms and all that. So we get these, like I said, they'll mostly go on the legs. You can put them anywhere technically though. But nice, it's got like a little bit of a bluish color to him. So let's put these on his legs. So there I got the lightnings just attached to his legs. They're of course not stuck on very well, but they're just on its legs coming off like he's running. Of course, we do get a base, so if we want to have him in a running pose like this, it'll help keep him sturdy. So that'll keep him standing now. And then we also get a card form. So there's a nice card design. I love how it's mostly the all whited out and, you know, mixing in with that silver on him looks pretty cool for Dark Flash. Of course, we do know that it's Walter West. And it says a new logo, a new costume, and a new Flash begin a startling new era for the fastest man alive. There's a super fast stranger in town and he's called himself the Flash. But who is this world-weary, battle-scarred hero in a fearsome, nearly all-black costume? Of course, it's not all black there, but don't know what that's specifically talking about. But looks pretty cool overall for that design. Like I said, I do really like the maroon and silver color of him. And of course, this is Walter West, you know, an alternate version of Wally West. So I just grabbed this Wally West to show the different variations there between the Wally. So pretty nice to add this, another Flash speedster to add to our collection. And looks pretty nice overall, like I said, with those colors especially. And next up we have Tempest, also known as Garth or Aqualad. Now he was born in Poseidonus with purple eyes, so he was deemed genetically inferior and sentenced to death. But Aquaman's father Atlan saved the boy and raised him, and as he got older he eventually met Aquaman, becoming his sidekick, and they would go on adventures together fighting crime, and later he would become a founding member of the Teen Titans. So of course he has an Atlantean physiology with superhuman strength, speed, and durability, as well as enhanced senses, marine telepathy, and hydrokinesis. So pretty cool to get Tempest here. Of course, I always know him as Aqualad, but looks pretty cool in his more modern design. So again, this is labeled as Titans Rebirth, so probably from the Rebirth era. So looks good overall. Love his body design. Of course, he does share a lot of the Aqualad. We already got the Calderon version, just obviously different colors with white skin this time. I think his face looks okay. It's not the best. I love how he has the scars coming down his eye, has like the little goatee design, the longer hair that's sort of swept over to the one side, and the blue highlights on that. Just don't think of the face overall looks the best. I feel it could be better. But then love his blue outfit design, all this fish scaling and everything he's got going on, the little straps going around to the back, the hold on like a backpack design there, which is cool. Again, probably some of this is just carrying over the design from the Calderon. Going down into the blue pants, love the smooth sides, and then the scaling looks pretty nice with the silver going all around that. And then he's got the darker pants, it looks like really dark blue, some light blue coming down with it, and the silver, but dark blue all the way down to the shoes. Has the little fins there off the back of his feet. And then he's got the bare arms, but love how he has like the tiger striping design running through his arms there as well. It looks pretty cool. So overall, a nice design. Like I said, I feel the face could be a little bit better, but the rest of it looks really good. Now, movement-wise, the head will twist all the way around. He'll look down that far and up that far, so again, not a whole lot of range, unfortunately. And then the shoulders will come up to 90 with the butterfly. It doesn't really butterfly much at all there. It is starting to move and rotate around. Get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint. That will bend all the way up on itself there again. We get the wrist that'll twist all the way around and flex on the joint. Then we get the ab crunches, so upper ab crunch and twist. Yeah, it's kind of hard, but we'll twist around there. And then at the waist crunch and twist all the way around. Hips will come up to 90 and out to the side, go at least that far out. Little bit of a thigh twist, not much though. The double knee joint, that'll bend up that far back. Of course, that fin will crash into his thigh there. And then down to his foot will rock back and forth and twist side to side with the toe joint on the end. So decent movements once again, pretty similar to all the other ones we have. Now he does have a smaller body. It's one of the smallest bodies we get in the DC Multiverse. So again, just completely reusing that Calderon, but it's just kind of weird how small he is compared to other characters. But accessory-wise, we do get some water effects we can attach onto his hands. So since he has the hydrokinesis, we get this of like water wrapping around his hands that he can use as power. So let's put these on. So there's the water effects on Aqualad there. It looks pretty cool. I like the blue design of the water added to him. Of course, we get the base we'll put him on. And then he comes with the card there. It's a nice picture of him. Again, the face looks different. It's like I said, I wish it looked a little more like that design, but we get him there from Titans Rebirth. And then on the back, his real name is Garth, and it says Garth debuted in Adventure Comics as Aqualad, Aquaman's sidekick. An outcast from Atlantis due to his purple eyes, Garth found a friend in Arthur Curry and more friends as he found the Teen Titans, alongside Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, and Speedy. Aqualad went on his own way when the Teen Titans became the new Teen Titans, but returned in a later incarnation called Titans after his transformation into the mage Tempest, a powerhouse player in any environment. So there's a good explanation of him going from the Teen Titans to why he's called Tempest now. So that's pretty cool. And like I said, we do have other Aqualads with the Calderon version. So here we have this. And as I said, they just pretty much completely reuse the same body. So a lot of the same stuff. Oh, the underwear are different. Of course, has the different arm pieces and stuff, but overall the body's just the same with the smaller stature there. So nice for that. And then of course, now that we have him, we can add him in with the rest of those Teen Titans. So there he is with our more modern incarnation of the Teen Titans, where of course we got Nightwing, Wally West, Donna Troy, and Speedy there, all for those founding members of the original Teen Titans in their modern designs. So looks pretty cool. Nice to add him to the collection as well, and overall a pretty cool figure. And that brings us to our red platinum edition figure of Nightmaster, who is James Rook. Now, he was the lead singer of a rock band, The Electronics, and was mysteriously transported to a strange dimension called Myra, where he was the descendant of its mighty warrior. So he took up his ancestor's sword, the Sword of Night, and returning to Earth, he would become active with other superheroes as the leader of the Shadow Pact, which is a team of supernatural heroes consisting of course, Nightmaster, with Detective Chimp, Blue Devil, Enchantress, Nightshade, and Ragman. So pretty cool to have him, this kind of an odd figure, again, it being part of the red platinum editions. So it may not be the easiest to find, but thankfully we were able to order a set that came with him. So it looks pretty cool overall. So he has this all blue spandex outfit, but as you see, it sort of has like the scaling design, very similar to like what Captain America would wear. So I assume it's supposed to be almost like a knight's armor, but all in blue, but it has the scaling running through. It'd be nice if that was more consistent throughout it, just kind of splotchy through there. Then he has a red cape on, which no wire in this cape or anything, but like how it's sort of wrapped around his neck there. And then just has the cape material hanging off, so nice and flowy there. Has the covering around his head as well, so you just see most of his face there. Belt around the waist with the N on it, of course, for Nightmaster. And then going down his legs, we get the black boots. So again, has that Blue Beetle Booster Gold sort of body there as well. And just overall a nice design. Not a character I really knew anything about until now, but I do overall like the design and some of the story there being a part of Shadow Pact. But moon-wise, the head will twist all the way around, can look down that far and up that far, so again, not the best range. Get the shoulders up to 90 with the butterfly and rotate around. Bicep twist and the double elbow that bends all the way up on itself. We get the wrist that'll twist all the way around and flex back and forth. We get the ab crunches, so upper crunch back and forth and twist, and then at the waist crunch and twist. Then we go to the hips that'll come up towards 90, about that far, no, not all the way up but not far, out to the side to do the splits. A little bit of a thigh twist, not much though, but there is some. The double knee joint that'll bend up that far to the back. And then, of course, down to the foot that'll rock back and forth, twist side to side, and has the toe joint on the end. So, again, same movements that we saw earlier with that Dark Flash. So, nothing too surprising there. And, of course, we've seen this figure design multiple times before. So, again, nothing unexpected with the movements there. But accessory-wise, he does come with the Sword of Night, which, of course, gives him all his powers. Now, it has the power to warn of danger, compel the truth, very similar to, like, Wonder Woman's lasso, dissolve illusions, anti-aging, and can fight on its own. So, again, all the power for him lies in this sword here, so that is pretty cool. So let's put this in his hand. Of course, he comes with a fist hand and one grip hand, so obviously has to go in just the grip hand. So there's Nightmaster with the Sword of Night now, so that's cool. Of course, we get the base, we'll pop him on. And finally, the card that he comes with. So there's a nice picture of him from Shadow Pack there. And then we get the story on the back of James Rook, which says musician James Rook and his girlfriend Janet Jones were transported from their shop Oblivion Inc. to another dimension realm of Myra. Rook discovered he was the heir to Myrian hero Nightshade, which accepted his ancestor's Sword of Night. After liberating Myra from the evil warlocks, Rook and Janet returned to Earth. Nightmaster joined Shadow Pack, eventually becoming the group's reluctant leader. So there's more expanded out on the story there. And overall, like I said, nice to have this design. And as reading off those names from Shadow Pack, the only character we have so far is Ragman. So there we can start to somewhat form out Shadow Pack there. Hopefully we'll get more members, but probably won't get too many more than that. But overall, very nice to add Nightmaster to the collection as well. Well, that's going to be it for our DC Multiverse Wave 21 figures, where we got the Fleischer Superman, Dark Flash, Tempest, and Nightmaster. So all four of these are really cool. Again, here with them all four, you can see how small Tempest is compared to the others. So he's definitely on a smaller body. And of course, continuing on, like we've seen more recently with how big like Superman is there. We're getting taller figures now, it seems like, and he's pretty big there. But overall, really like all four of these figures. Nice additions to the collection. Like, again, having the Fleischer Superman, just nice classic design. Very significant to the Superman history. Awesome for Dark Flash. He's probably the one that's, to me, the least important, but still cool. I like the design with the maroon and silver. Tempest is really cool as well, the modern design of Aqualad. And Nightmaster is awesome, getting more of Shadow Pack. So let me know what you thought of all four of these down in the comments. And if you enjoyed my review, let me know with that like. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.